Hey guys, it's Sydnee A, and I am back again with another episode of Necro, Fiends of the Frozen Dead. We are celebrating the friends and fans of Johnny Necro's 25 years with the Frozen Dead and the comic series and all the wonderful people in the community. And today I am super excited to welcome Rusty, and let's see what is going on with him. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Nice to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me.
See, I decorated my background appropriately. It definitely looks like hell.
Well, that's great. Thank you for joining us all the way from hell then. That was a trek and a half.
Yes. And
Awesome.
boy, is it hot here.
And boy, are my arms tired. Sorry. So I wanted to start off with just a little bit of history. Like, how did you get to know Johnny, and how were you introduced to the Johnny Necro comics?
I think Johnny was my gardener. No, we met at a store called Fat Man Comics, which was a mutual friend of ours, and he has he has like a back room that's huge, the store owner. And what he does is he did, because I heard the store close, sadly. He put on mini conventions in the back of the store. I used to do a ton of appearances. I've been doing appearances ever since the early 80s. And I took a couple of breaks, but I was going really strong. My wife and I had nothing to do that month, and I had said, well, I would love to appear. So I got there. Him and I sat across from each other, on different sides of the room. And it was big. It was about 10, 15 people had tables. So this was a big room.
A big mini con.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like saying large shrimp,
Yeah, exactly.
Military intelligence. So anyway, he's across from me, and there were slow periods like there always are. I've done giant conventions where there's been mega thousands of people like Wizard and on and on and on. And there are still slow people, slow times where there's no people. I'll be sitting at a giant convention, there'll be nothing for like a half hour. And then all of a sudden 500 people come on, like as if there's like all the buses emptied out from the old folks home and they're all walking around. So we started talking, and I looked at his stuff. He's got some really cool stuff based on his characters. And then I just had my artwork. I have my comic books that I do, but when I made appearances, I didn't really focus on my stuff, because a lot of people come to me and they were like, could you sign Walking Dead stuff? Could you sign heavy metal, because I worked on that movie? Can you sign Vampirella? Can you sign Doctor Who? All the BS. And I don't mind. I think it's great, but I can't really fit everything on the table.
Right.
His setup was based solely on his characters and his book, which is refreshing, because there's a lot of younger publishers out there, and they try so hard. Draw Spider-Man, draw Superman, draw the Hulk, and it's not their stuff.
Right.
And it doesn't sell them. So he focused on his work. He had shirts and cards. I think he had some magnets, figures, different things. And his white band is great. And we got to talk, and we've been friends ever since. And it's been really great to know him, which is why when he approached me about, adding my characters to, his book, I said, sure. My book is I have
it right here.
My book is an all ages book.
Okay.
But the thing about his books is it celebrates horror and pop culture in a friendly way.
Yes.
And obviously if he had some X-rated book, I'd be like, okay, no, thank you,
Don't want to be associated.
It's not even that, because I mean, I used to do adult work. You know, when you're an artist, you do everything.
Right.
You know, can you draw blank? Yes, I could do that. That's fine. You know, I really need a card of this girl. Oh, okay. You know, Wonder Woman or Batgirl or whatever. Can you draw her in a bikini? Okay. Funny story. One guy comes up to me at a convention and he goes, "Can you draw me a picture of Wonder Woman in the nude?" And I said, "Can I leave my socks on? It's really cold in here." But they always ask for fetish and dumb stuff.
Right.
And a lot of them lately they're back to doing the TNA books that they used to do in the 90s. So you know, when I saw his stuff, I said, sure, because it's friendly, you know.
Yes.
It hasn't got anything to do with the subject matter. It doesn't have anything to do with the art style. It has to do with the heart of the person,
Yes.
which is what impressed me. He's very passionate about what he does. His wife supports him. It's very green. They do things at home. You know, if you have to cut something, if you have to sticker something, you don't hire someone to do it. You do it yourself.
Right.
You know, it's a grass level campaign, and I'm familiar with that because I've been working in comics since the late '70s, and film, and I still do things for myself. My wife and I will still seal sets and seal boxes for when I publish stuff.
Right.
I will still answer every email, every chat, every letter. I just got one yesterday. Somebody went to the Philly Non-Sports Show, which is a trading card show that happens in Philly every year.
Okay.
Very, very big. A lot of companies will support the show as well. So I started doing Garbage Pail Kids, the card set. I'm doing my second one actually now. And I did a card for I don't know how you would put it. He's a dealer, but he's online, so
Okay.
he's not got a brick and mortar.
Right.
And I went ahead and I did a special card for him, and then what he did was he reproduced it, and then gave everyone free cards at the show. So someone sent me a couple of the cards yesterday. Open the envelope, sign them all. I throw in my own free stuff to give. Because I love playing Santa Claus. Sent it right back out. I noticed that I got 2 in the mail today coming. You know, that's the kind of thing that wins people over. It took me, I would say, about 13 years to build up what I have with my stuff.
Right.
Not that I'm anything. I always tell people that I have no ego. I'm like the smallest amoeba in the biggest ocean. I'm fine with that. I'm glad for whatever I've got. You know, thank God. It took me a long
long as you're
time.
a happy amoeba.
Yes, a happy and avoiding SpongeBob and the rest of the crew.
Right.
And, but the thing is that it takes a long time to find a groove.
Yes.
A niche. He carved himself out a niche because there's a lot of publishers out there that don't know how to market themselves. Marketing yourself is not throwing a piece of spaghetti on the wall to see if it's cooked.
Right.
Marketing is taking the whole pot of spaghetti and throwing it at someone and say, "Did you have a good meal?" That's it. You have to take a bold chance.
Yes.
And you have to keep doing it, because if you do it just once, people will not respect you if you don't have an encore. If you consistently do it, people will look at you and say, that's what this guy is known for. That's the horror guy. That's the, I don't know, porn guy. That's the army guy. That's whatever. He carved out a nice niche for himself because his characters are, you know, he's in my opinion, now I could be wrong, he's a pop culture satirist.
Yes.
And I think that works perfectly for what he does. He is not a political person, which infests the media these days.
Yes.
And he's not a TNA person, which I think ruins the medium these days.
Yes.
Not everybody has to be fit. Not everybody has to be drawn perfectly. Mm-hmm. I can't open his books and learn about anatomy.
Right.
Because he's doing, he's being cartoony, which mm-hmm. is the appeal. Because when you look at horror, everything is, blood spurting, cutting off a head, cutting off an arm, getting run through by a spear or something.
Right.
Everything is so perfect, But with his drawing style, it's cutesy and it appeals, and I enjoy that. I came from a different route. I worked as a cartoony. I worked as I don't like anime and manga. I think it's too exaggerative.
Okay.
And I don't really care for that too much, although some of it's appealing. And I hate AI, the new AI thing. It's ripoff. But I came from a comic book background. And when I do work for films, I do a lot of likeness work. I draw, the stars or whatever, right, which I also get hired for when I do a lot of trading cards.
Okay.
So but I enjoy his stuff. It's cute, and that's not meant to be, a toss off. People will say, "Oh yeah, it's cute," and that's
I know it exactly. Like I picture what I've seen in the book when you say that. I know exactly what you mean by that. And real quick, I wanted to throw up. I do have. I don't want to throw up. I want to throw on the screen your link tree so that people can see your IMDb and all of the things that you have going on. And I also have your Instagram and your Facebook so that people can follow you. And I saw the Garbage Pail Kids on your Instagram earlier today, and I still have my Garbage Pail Kids from when I was growing up in the 80s. So that immediately. I was like, yay, I remember these.
It's funny. I've been working I've been doing artwork for a very long time. And I started out as a child actor. And then I've been doing artwork for a very long time. I'd say there's probably a separation of about 5 years between starting one and starting the other. I got my first official professional art job actually working on a motion picture back in I'd say 79, 80, because the film came out in 81. That was Heavy Metal.
Yes.
And it's a really, being an artist today is nothing like being an artist back then.
Right.
Back then, there were no copy machines. There was no phone, no internet, no overnight shipping. There was none of that. There was no internet podcasts and things like that. No posting, no bulletin board services. There was nothing.
Right.
We relied on three things. Comic books.
Table.
What's that?
The light table, because you had to do
the tools. But I mean for
marketing,
anything. It was literally just whatever happened on the radio, whatever happened on the newspaper. You were lucky to get on TV. That was it. Yep. And I call it a barrier of professionalism. Back then, if I wanted to work in comics, I only had about 3 or 4 choices of companies. I draw my heart out, send it to somebody. 90% of the time you'd get rejections. I mean, it's just the way it is. Right. They have a stable, it's like a checkerboard. There's only a certain amount of slots. And unless they need a slot filled, you're not even being considered. Right. You could be the best artist in the world, and they would just tell you, we don't need you at this time. And unfortunately, it would be, considered rejections.
Right.
Rejections are starting points. They're not ending points, but people don't know that today.
Yeah.
Today, people can put out whatever dreck that they want to. They can self-publish and print. They can self-publish and put it on the net free. Digital, which I'm not crazy about because I do everything by hand, on and on and on. and there's the barrier is gone.
Right.
There's a lot of fault to that. The internet caused a lot of problems by chance. Everything is always exploited, which is a terrible word in some ways. There's an old joke, an old college professor joke that goes, the first guy that invented a knife used it for hunting and skinning and cutting things up. The second guy stabbed somebody.
Right.
The first guy invented a camera. He took pictures of beautiful trees and animals and lakes. The second guy took nude pictures of his girlfriend. It's just like, no matter what happens, somebody, again, exploits the need for it. But the internet came along and changed everything and made it so that anybody could do anything. And there's a lot of people out there. I don't want to say that they have no talent. I don't want to say that they're bad, because I don't do negative at all. I don't.
Right.
I'm very much an encouraging person. Mm-hmm. The thing is that they're untrained and they're unskilled.
Right.
It doesn't matter how you draw. It matters what you know about your tools. How do you use a pencil? How do you use an eraser? People come up to me when I was at shows. I can't draw a straight line. I used to say I can't either. That's why I own a ruler.
Exactly.
And I would do interviews and stuff, and I'd say, the other day I was drawing something and I was drawing with an eraser. How do you draw with an eraser? Learn how to use your tools, and you can use anything. There's a guy on the internet, I think he's on Instagram. He takes a match and literally lights the match, blows it out, and then takes the match and actually goes on a piece of paper and uses it like charcoal.
I was going to say, like drawing with charcoal, yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Yes, and I've done everything. I've used templates. I've used a leaf from a tree. I've sprayed around things. I've had feathers, needles you use sometimes for fine points and stuff, garbage, wadded up tissues.
Yep.
I've ripped a piece of paper in half and then kept it apart a little bit and then sprayed and done things. My own hand in ink and made a blot.
Right.
I actually have a ladies' nylon sitting on the shelf here because you can stretch it and use it for spraying and whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
It sounds like I have, not to interrupt, but I've made like birthday cakes for my kids growing up and my husband, and I've never been formally trained as a cake decorator, but between toothpicks and paintbrushes, and I've made these beautiful creations because I've used all kinds of things as tools to do it. So when you're saying that, I'm like, I have done similar things, different medium, but
it's art. Art is an all-encompassing term, because if you are a singer, you're an artist. If you're a penciler, or like me, I'm known as an inker for comics, I'm an artist. You doing the cakes, doing your podcast, that's art. People don't understand that art isn't necessarily pinpointed to one narrow definition.
Right.
Getting back to his comic on the shelf, let's say next to a Marvel Spider-Man, right? Or
I just have to show it again.
or one of my books, or a manga book, from the eastern part of the world. It's all subjective.
Yes.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, plain and simple. Not that anything is trash or treasure. I hate to say it, but Marvel and DC are putting out crap. And a lot of the, I don't call them independent because I hate that term, and I think it's actually offensive to comic book publishers, even though I'm sorry to say it, they're too stupid to know what they're calling themselves.
Right.
But independent is the wrong term. They're small press.
Okay.
And a lot of the small press publishers are putting out much better stuff.
Right.
If the artwork is sharp, great. If the scripting is sharp, great. If the package itself is sharp, great. Are they making mistakes? Well, if the big guys make mistakes, you can't expect everybody not to.
Right.
Are they putting out crap? If the big guys are putting out crap, you can't expect everyone else not to.
Right.
But I would rather watch, this is another college joke, I would rather watch a bad college football game than a good NFL game. It's just
the players.
Yeah, it's just the heart behind it.
Yes.
You know?
I was going to say, too, I want to just plug the book again real quick and put up Johnny's link tree so you can go there to get your copy of this beautiful book. Okay.
It's actually
behind it, and that's what comes through when, like, the second you meet Johnny, you're friends. Because
right.
That's who he is. He's just such an amazing person and all heart. So
he is a I don't want to be the president of his fan club here, but he is a lovable misfit rocker.
Yes,
is what it is. So, and his wife is great. Having a good support system in any creative business is wonderful. Yeah. So, and she's definitely a winner. My wife is a winner too. Yep. She used to take me to conventions. I have a bad problem with my back, and it's hard for me to walk great distances because I used to be a pro wrestler, so I hurt my back very bad. And she would take me to shows. There were a couple of times where there's big arenas, I mean huge arenas, where the shows would be, and I would have to be in a wheelchair because it would be like from the front door to the back of the arena was a mile.
Oh yeah, the convention centers are humongous.
Yeah, and there was no way I could do it. None. Not with a crowd. People stopping me every 10 feet, sign something. Can I take a picture with you? Mm-hmm. Blah, blah, blah. And then I used to do, as a minister, I used to do weddings at shows.
I was going to say, Johnny told me that you performed a wedding in his house, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They were great. And people, I would have my minister robes on.
Oh, okay. So you really did it there.
Yes, and I would be walking through the convention, and I'd be like, I should send you a picture, and really funny story, and then I'll be quiet. But we were at a convention one time, and I have robes, and the robes are very traditional. Okay. I have a forest green robe that goes down to about my knees, mm-hmm. and then I have the stolen, which looks like a scarf.
Right.
And I had gotten that from a church in Hungary. It was given to me as a gift. And then I wear a head covering like I do here. It's also green. And then I have a tan one that looks like burlap that's for the Easter part of the part of the year.
Right.
Lent. And when I was walking through, I had my robe on because the first minute I got to the convention, I had to perform a wedding. It was Batman, and his wife was dressed as, or his fiance was dressed as Robin.
Oh, that's
and we were going to marry them. Yes, and we were going to marry them in front of the Batmobile. So, because that was on display.
Right, I love that.
Yeah, and I was walking through, and this teenager had to be about 16, 17, and his friends. Dude, you look so cool. I'm like, I'm walking with the cane, and you look so cool. He says, I know exactly who you are, man. I love Lord of the Rings. It's awesome. Can I take a picture with you? Yeah, okay. So I grab my cane and I hold it up like it's something, and they're all hamming it up. 5 or 6 pictures later, we're, thank you, and we're walking. And then another guy comes up and asks me to sign a comic because I guess he knew who I really was, which was fine. And then a little bit later, I'm walking, and the guy goes, shouldn't you have your face painted green too? And I'm like, why? And he says, you're the ugliest Kermit the Frog I've ever seen.
Oh, no.
I told him, I'm never one for a bad joke. I looked at him and I said, I'm also the fattest you've ever seen, too. I finally got to the table, and I did the wedding and then took everything, all of my ceremonial robes off.
Right.
And then the kids who thought it was Lord of the Rings, they're walking down the aisles, and they walk up to my table, and I said, "Hey, how you doing, guys?" And they go, "Fine." I thought they would remember who I was. They didn't.
They didn't because you weren't in the costume anymore.
No, and they're like, you look very familiar. I said, "Yeah, a lot of people say that. I'm that guy on TV from the hemorrhoid commercials."
That's great. Well, I didn't see Minister on the banner that you gave me, which I'm going to pop up here. You need to add comic book, trading card, and film artist and Minister.
Oh, I gotta say, if these days you can't do anything. I mean, if I put up anything religious or a cross or minister or anything like that, you know how much heckling I would get?
Yeah.
You can't do anything. It's a combination of religion, politics, whatever. They used to say you never talk about religion, politics, or sex at the dinner table, except that now everybody talks about sex, so it doesn't even really matter.
Well, you talk about it at Thanksgiving, and then you don't have to buy as many Christmas presents. That's what you do. And it's actually like a good segue for a little plug for myself, because my book, I do it every time I point to the wrong side, is called Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Go-Go, How a Preacher's Daughter Pole Danced Her Way to Finding Her True Self. So talk about mixing religion and sex, but you can get
I saw your videos where you're on the pole.
Yep, I still
that's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm just very proud that at 49 years old I can still do that and not fall off and bust my butt. So I go once a week to work out now. I don't do it as a job anymore, but
I would do it, but the pole bends. It would bend in the middle, and
hey, you never know until you try it. Give it a go.
Mine would be everything I learned in the emergency room. That would be mine.
There's certain moves I say that when people are like, "Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, once," and then you'd call the ambulance.
Right. Push 9-1 on your phone and then get ready for the other one.
Just hover over the one for the next one. Exactly. So I do have your comics, Mac in Trouble, and that's the original Mac in Trouble, right?
Right. Mac passed last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Trouble passed about 2 years ago. Mac was my absolute all-time best friend. I know I offend a lot of humans by saying that, but he was. I was injured really bad when I was in wrestling.
Right.
And I wound up being in bed for a couple of years. It was very painful to walk around. I literally had a board, no joke, about 5 feet by 4 feet, maybe 6 feet by 4 feet.
Okay.
And it would stay in the corner. And I would get out of bed. I had an easy chair about this far away from the bed, no lie. I would put the board on the bed, open up my laptop, and I would do all of my work from there for a couple of years. I wouldn't even.
Wow.
There was literally one whole year where I did not come downstairs.
That's
I
awful.
stayed upstairs in the bedroom. I couldn't even handle the stairs without someone helping me. So my wife brought home 2 kittens. Mac was one, and his sister was a fluffy gray cat, like the black cat I showed you a little bit ago.
Right.
Long hair like her, but she was very tiny gray cat. He was walking very funny, and I thought it was because the bottom of his cage was what we threw in all clothes.
Okay.
A great trick for new pet owners is if you want a pet to endear themselves to you, literally take your dirty clothes out of the hamper, put them in the bottom of a cage or a bed, and let them
get that smell.
Right.
Yep.
So Mac was walking very funny, and I thought it was, the clothes, it was all bumpy and uneven. And he had what was called CH, cerebellar hyperplasia. His brain wasn't operating the same way. He couldn't run. He couldn't jump. When he walked, his back legs were wide and like that. And I went ahead and I would hold his little legs and let him pull them out so that he could have, like exercising, build up the
Get
muscles.
stronger. Yeah.
And I would put my hand under his stomach and walk him. And I held him a lot. His sister passed very, very soon because she was dehydrated. The whole family had a problem.
Right.
And but he woke me up like I had a purpose with him. I always say he saved my life, which is why I did the book. And I started to go downstairs, started to go back in the studio where I am now. And he would come to me. I would hold him. We would watch TV. I would work while I was holding him, give him little treats and things like that. He was a wild, wild spirit. He would eat. When do you hear of cats eating lettuce,
Right.
spaghetti? He would eat a piece of broccoli. He
was just a people. He was a four-legged people.
That's it. My favorite one is he ate Cheetos. I dropped a Cheeto on the floor. He picked it up and just started chomping on it.
When my one cat was a kitten, he ate Doritos.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mac got to the point when he got older, he needed a little bit more protein. So my wife was nice enough, and what she did was she made him his own egg. Whenever we had breakfast, she made him an egg, and I would sit there and I would cut it up and give him little pieces. It tore me up when he passed.
Oh, I'm sure. He was your buddy.
Yes, and he only lived about 13 years. I was hoping he would have lived longer. His siblings didn't last very long, and they were in bad shape. One was terribly overweight, which is what caused his problem. One had a bad problem with the heart, which is what his problem was. Like I said, his little sister passed early on. But that inspired me to do work again, because I was really ready to give up. Let me tell you, when I started out as a child actor, I was 6 years old. Most kids don't get their first job until they're about, all right, if you're 13, 14, you're like mowing lawns. You're getting a quarter to clean out the garage.
Right.
Today it's a credit card to clean out the garage. But most kids don't get their first jobs until they're about 17 or 18. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 17, I was burned out.
I bet. Yeah.
I mean, I would say between acting and doing artwork, I had probably been active 85% of the year. Mm-hmm. I would go, like I did one movie for NBC, and I was 13 weeks, not counting Saturday and Sunday, every weekday, 4 o'clock in the morning, wake up, be on the road, and get there by 5 o'clock and get home at 10 that night.
Wow. And were you getting tutored too during that time, or
every day?
So you had to do schoolwork and work, and yeah.
Right. And it was, and you got to, when you do your schoolwork, you got to be in costume. You have to be in makeup. They keep coming in, blotting your forehead, pancake makeup, spray you down. This shirt looks like it's grungy, that you've been in for an hour. Let me change it. Mm-hmm. Let me reapply your scars, your prosthetics, your black and blues, whatever. So,
because you were in Little House on the Prairie, right?
Right. And a bunch of other stuff, tons of Saturday morning cartoon shows and kid shows. I did one series called Lucan. I did another one called Thunder, which was about a girl and a horse.
I think I remember that.
I did after school specials.
Yes.
And I was also in things like Bob Hope had Christmas specials. Mac Davis had stuff. I did a bunch of stuff. I was working a lot with artwork. I would be in costume, dressed up as whatever, let's say the street kid.
Right.
And I remember doing Pete's Dragon, the movie. and I was dressed up as a street kid. And it's period, it's mid 1800s, like kid from the docks type of thing.
Right.
And I'd be doing schoolwork, and I'd finish it, and I'd say, "Can I, to the social worker or teacher, whoever, because it's not really a class. They just have you." I hate to say it, but it's all busy work. It's all BS. Can I do my homework? You could just pull out a coloring book and they wouldn't care. You just have,
as long as they could check off that the child on set was doing work, they didn't really care what it was, I guess.
I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was like, do whatever you want and then turn around and, read your movie magazine or play your game or whatever.
Right.
But I would say, can I do something else? Sure, go ahead, as long as you're in here for a couple of hours. So I would pull out my artwork and I would continue. I'd be drawing comics, I'd be doing cards, I'd be writing press releases, because it's another thing I got into. I did a lot of press for comic book and trading card companies, on and on and on. And I just kept going. I had basically two careers.
Right.
For a very long time. When acting died down, because I came around in a wave. When I first started, there was a lot of kids, but I was like one of 10 kids that was always working.
Right.
And some kids would break in, some kids would die out, blah, blah, blah. But I was always working. And then I got to the point where I was half working.
Okay.
And I did a stint on the radio in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
With a rock station out there. I enjoyed that. It was KLOS.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that. Then when that died out a little bit, because radio is one of those things where you got to move. You go from rock to country to the comedy guy to AM talk, whatever, interview.
I learned that from Harry Chapin.
Right. And that wasn't right. And that wasn't me. I was there only for that guest spot.
Okay.
Then after that, I continued to do some voice work and some modeling, which I hated. And then I kept doing the artwork.
Right.
Then I got into pro wrestling, and I did that for a long time. Again, still artwork.
What was your wrestling name?
What's that?
What did you wrestle under? What name did you use?
When I first started, it was the Brooklyn Warrior, because I'm from New York.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like built like an anvil. I'm not really fat. I'm just heavy at that time.
Right.
I'm a brawler. I don't really have like fancy moves.
Okay.
One of the things I used to do was I'd be going to the ring and I'd have a cigar, and I'd be smoking the cigar as I'm walking down the aisle, down the ramp in some cases. And I'd get to the ring and I'd have the cigar and then introduce people, and the other guy would be there, and I'd take the cigar and flick it at the other guy, and it would like hit him in the chest, and it'd be like a little bit of dust or sparks or something.
Right.
Now, start the fight. It was like ringing the bell. And there were so many warriors. Everybody thought that was
Ultimate Warrior and
like Road Warrior, Ultimate Warrior, Dingo Warrior, something else. So I didn't want to wrestle under my name, because
right.
I have a kind of a odd festive name, but it didn't really matter at that time. Somebody like Tony Atlas, that sounds great. And then here's my name, and it sounds like a drink at a bar. I said, when I gambled, because I used to wrestle in Vegas a lot, and I actually professionally gambled for a couple of years. They used to call me Wild Card.
Oh, okay. That's a great Vegas name.
I liked it, and it stuck with me. Originally, I came out to the song, and back then you could do this because you weren't playing it for very long. You didn't have the rights. You didn't need them, as long as you didn't market it. And I wasn't big enough to where I needed to. So I came out to the song Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider, which I thought was a cool song. And then later on, one of my favorites, I came out to an AC/DC song. And it's always the riff. It's not like the whole song.
Right.
and wild card sounded better. And I wasn't a good guy. I wasn't a bad guy, heel, baby face, none of that.
Right.
I just came out and did it and walked away. I remember coming to the ring one time. I was at the LA Sports Arena, packed, 30,000 people maybe. It was just packed to the gills. It just happened to be one of those nights. And I'm walking to the ring, and you don't know fun, excitement, electricity when people are cheering as you're walking out, and it's that many people.
Yeah.
I miss that terribly. I could just walk back and forth to the ring without doing anything if I could get that.
Right, because that just like energizes your soul, all that good energy.
Every light bulb in the place would be lit up just from that alone. So I'm walking to the ring, and I feel on the back of my head, like right about here, like on my neck.
Right.
And I turn around and I look, and here's this 80-year-old woman hits me with her purse. And she said, like, you better treat him good in the ring or something like that. Really into the thing.
Right.
I look at her and I'm like, oh God, this is like my grandmother saying something to me. And I didn't know what to say. And I started walking, and then she starts yelling at me. Her voice was so loud and so shrill.
Yeah, it just broke through the crowd noise.
Like a hot knife through butter. You jerk! Blah 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 blah. And I just laughed. I couldn't handle myself. I walked, instead of being all confident and having this cigar and walking to the ring and blah blah blah.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And you probably made her night knowing that she has that story. She got to tell everybody how she hit you with her purse. Yeah.
She was the real one that beat me in the match.
Right? And now we're here. The new heel in town is Grandma.
As a matter of fact, one of the promoters was at ringside, and he turns around and says, you know that old lady from the crowd? I said, yeah. He says, don't walk out that way.
Yeah, right. She's got your number.
That's it. Pick up a chair and beat your crap out of you.
She's like Sophia from the Golden Girls with her purse, just going to kick your butt.
This is like, I'll tell you what she looked like. She reminded me of, pardon me. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. Sorry about that.
I drank something and I started laughing.
Down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, Sophia from the Golden Girls.
Right, exactly, with the little purse that she always had. I love the Golden Girls.
Oh my God, there must have been 10 bricks in that purse. There are times when I tell that story, I can still feel it. I'm like,
oh, I bet something hitting you like that, especially unexpected. It's like
unexpected, right? Yeah. Unexpected. I'm surprised I didn't swallow the cigar as I was walking. But I had times like that. But then again, getting back to what I was saying before about his book, yes, and the process, we used to do green grass movement stuff as well, because when I wrestled, I also helped for one promotion keep the books. Oh, okay. And there was another time where I swept up the arena. There were times when I drew pictures to go in the program, or we couldn't get a hotel. Vegas was booked. There was a car convention or whatever. We would take every towel we could find and throw it on the locker room floor and sleep on the locker room. It was so hot in Vegas. It was 120 in Vegas. We actually slept in the shower. The shower was like one of these like 20 faucet showers. It was
right, like in a locker room, the big shower room. Yeah.
Right. We actually turned on 2 showers to cold water at the very end, and we actually slept on the floor in the shower because it was 120. It was so bad for a couple of days. You'd be showering with the water hitting the front of you, and you'd be sweating on your back. And then you turn around, and within 1 minute, it's the same thing.
Right.
I played roulette. That was my game. I used to win tournaments playing roulette.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I loved it. It was best one, $20,000 came in first. I thought it was great.
That's awesome.
And, you learn any game and you just play it. And if you're good, great. If you're lucky, even better. I was lucky. Again, no ego. It's not like I'm a pro. And we would wrestle, and then the same show would appear on closed circuit TV in most of the casinos.
So you're there playing roulette, and people are going, "Wait a minute, is that
right?" So we would actually get steak dinners, and at the Stardust Hotel, which has been torn down, we would wrestle across town at the Showboat, and then we would take the bus over, a private bus. We'd sit at the table at the Stardust. They would put a steak dinner, steak, potatoes, vegetables, right at the roulette table, and I'd be playing while I'm eating, and people would come up and want to take pictures and get autographs signed and whatever. And and even back then, I would do the same thing I was talking about before. You got to stand out. You got to be funny. You got to be something. So I would, pretend that I had my cigar, and I would, I'd pretend to bite somebody. I would literally grab the steak off my plate and hold it up.
Yeah. Like exactly.
Pictures with them. And I got known for that. And like I was saying before, you have to carve out your own niche. Right. That's the thing. You can't let somebody give you an opportunity. You have to make it. An old editor of mine told me one time, in times of no work, make your own.
Yes.
Nobody came to you and said, do this podcast. You're not working for somebody. Nothing was going on. You started it. Mm-hmm. Nobody came to him and said, Marvel needs your book. Nothing was going on. He started it. I started it. A lot of these small press publishers did. For a while, it was nice to say, oh, I worked for Marvel in DC. I did a bunch of pages for Image. I did Walt Disney stuff, blah, blah, blah. Throw around names.
Right.
It's fashionable in an industry where you turn around and, you're so used to being inundated. What did you do? Well, I ate at McDonald's instead of saying I ate at the local diner.
Right.
I'm using a Kleenex or a Scott towel. I'm watching famous television show. I'm listening to my favorite celebrity podcast. For a long time, that was the sun shining on the shore. Everything was a picture perfect environment. Everything was flowing. Right. You're reading a Marvel comic. You just bought a DC Superman shirt. You're playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game. I got to go out right now. I'll be back. I'm going to throw on my X-Men shirt and jump in my, Walking Dead personalized blah, 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 Nissan Sentra, and on and on and on.
Right.
And today, people are now starting to realize doing your own thing is important. It always was, don't get me wrong, but there was a different shade to it. You're cutting your grass, your lawn is beautiful. You have a bird feeder, like a basin, and you got flowers in the corner and on and on and on. And then you got this one little patch where you're growing vegetables. You got like a couple of strawberries, peppers, whatever. So you're focusing all your camera work, everything that you're doing, all your attention, your barbecues, all on the lawn. Someone asked, so what's over there? Well, it's my garden. I'm growing some flowers and I got a few vegetables. Oh, it's really nice, blah, blah, blah. Today, people are taking a picture of that garden and they don't think of their lawn. Their lawn has a bunch of toys on it. There's a bicycle next to the tree. Their dog is going all over the yard. Nobody's thinking of it the same way. And that's the way it should be. Every single person is an entrepreneur. Every single person has the ability to be their own self-made man or woman, or God knows what they want to call themselves these days. And it's important that when you have a self-made project, you carve out your own niche and make it your best. I don't like being in contests. I don't like being in top 10 lists. because to me, my book isn't a top 10 book, and that's the way I like it. I don't like being classified as a kiddie book because it's not a kid's book.
Right.
Mac in Trouble, I'll tell you this real quick. Mac in Trouble is about two cartoon cats that come into the real world. There's you can call it magic, you can call it comics, whatever BS. There were two comic strip cats that literally come into the real world. So you got like two 4.5-foot tall talking cats.
Okay.
Mac is sarcastic, and Trouble is it's kind of like their Abbott and Costello.
Okay, you have the straight man and the funny guy.
Right. Mac is sarcastic, and he's brave, and he's grouchy, and Trouble is a big guy. He's a little pudgy. One noise and he jumps. His tail puffs out.
Right.
He's adventurous. He wants to know everything. He's inquisitive. They have powers, which I think is cute. Mac has a pocket, so he can reach. He's the only cat in the world with a pocket.
I was going to say that's a unique ability.
Right.
For a cat.
So he can reach into his pocket, and it's like a light bulb, a pen, a lady's shoe. Oh my God, a magnifying glass, whatever. And he can't control it. And it's like at the wrong time, he'll pull out stupid stuff. I really need a key to this lock. Let me see if I have it. Wow, I've never seen a horseshoe up close before,
Right.
Trouble gets excited and he teleports. He can't control it. So if there's a loud noise or he gets really happy, boom. In the comic book, the first comic book, they're sitting there and they're listening to someone yammer on, and boom, he teleports and they're on the moon and they're looking at each other, and then boom, he teleports back. Obviously comic, it's obviously hyper realistic, but they fit in with superheroes. It's not like Warner Brothers dropping anvils and Bugs Bunny kissing Elmer Fudd and blah blah blah, duck season, rabbit season, none of that.
Right.
They're like the Ninja Turtles. They fit in with superheroes. They hop realities, they talk to characters, on and on and on. They have a movie coming out in a couple of years that I'm working with a studio in the UK right now, and they will be meeting superheroes and fighting zombies.
Oh, I love that.
It's not like we're not talking about like Warner Brothers or Disney characters.
Right.
And I carved out my own niche. I had to, because if I didn't, I've got a superhero. What's his name? Blah, blah, whatever. And they're like, oh, that's great. What's his powers? And the minute I say it, like the Flash or like Superman or like Batman or like, if my niche is to be boring, then I sure carved out a good one. But the thing is that you got to carve out your own niche. Tell me what's like his book out there right now.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
No, it has the proper amount of satire. It's got good heart. The characters are very unusual, which is on a good note.
Yes.
The artwork is unusual. Again, a good note. And look at that cover. That cover is pop culture personified.
Yes, definitely. I actually have an overlay of it so you can see it even better.
Right. It's pop culture personified. He's created his backup characters good. He has fun scripting. This is like the underground or punk movement brought into comics.
Yes.
If he had done this 40 years ago, he would have been like the top of the charts.
Mm-hmm.
By doing it today, he has the ability of bringing back that kind of feeling, hitting fans from that era, and harvesting new fans, which is good. The only problem that all of us have, him included, me included, like I said, no ego, is distribution, getting your word out, talking to people. There's more outlets now.
Yes.
It used to be, how are you going to get on TV? I would tell people, oh, I'm going to be interviewed on MTV. Oh, that's good, because I did the Lady Gaga comic book, and I was interviewed on MTV years ago.
Okay.
And they would, oh, let's tune in to MTV. Everybody watch it, blah, blah, blah. You look so good, and that's so great. And we taped it. We shot pictures of the screen and on and on, fan friend, whatever stuff. Then I got a few jeers too, but that's the way, that's the
how
way
it rolls.
For every chicken leg, there's a bone.
When I got my first hater for my book, I cheered. I posted. I was like, I got my first hater. I was like, yay! Because if everybody's going yes, 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 then you're not doing anything. You're just getting yes. So you need those people too.
Right. The bad comments are actually better than the good comments, because anybody could say great stuff, but the bad people are the ones who bring up the real fine points. You misspelled a word. All right, well, I guess I won't do it again. Or I put out a set of cards, my own card set, and I got a lot of artists to work with me, and I got a lot of publicity. Very successful Kickstarter. I think we made 700% over what we wanted.
Oh,
it was fantastic. It was based on dinosaurs.
Okay.
So we had sketch cards where all the artists do their own work, and then every set has an original piece of artwork in it. Mm-hmm. So our sketch cards, instead of just being a card, they were shaped like a double card. And it looked like a dinosaur's head. And when it opened, it would look like they were opening their mouth. And then the artwork was on the back. So I put the set out, the promo card, and somebody comes up and says, well, you misspelled this word. And another guy, oh, yeah, he misspelled this word. And I got it about 50 times.
Right.
And then I turned around and I said, well, dinosaurs can't spell. So I wouldn't blame the dinosaur for this card.
There you go.
It would be like, well, you misspelled this word. I says, I feel bad because that dinosaur is taking a lot of flack for misspelling one word.
Right.
It got to the point.
We got a dino brain. Leave him alone.
Right. When your brain is this big, I before E doesn't mean as much. And whatever it was, I don't remember what it was. I think that might have even been what it was. And it got to the point where it became a gag.
Yeah.
And then on the cards, I misspelled that same word every time.
Exactly. Well, you had to. Now it's like part of the genre, of your dinosaur's journey is that he misspells that word.
And I just, that's you. Like I said, you got to carve out your own niche. You have to make it special.
Yes.
I did a card set many years ago called Wanted Women, which was a really cool card set. It was very mature. It was at a time in the 90s where guys were making trading cards about strippers, adult film stars, things like that.
Okay.
This wasn't bad. It was just mature. So I went around to all of the adult trading card companies at the time. I won't mention them. A lot of them are out of business, and I don't know, if they're around or not. But I went and I said, I'm doing a card set. Let me have one picture from your library, whether it's a celebrity, which all of them did, or a star or whatever. I'll print it. I'll put on the back of the card her name and some stuff, and I'll put like an ad for you on the back of the card. So I got, I don't know, 20 companies. I mean, it was great. I didn't get one rejection.
Oh, wow.
So I went to the printer and I said, I'd like to, do the cards. At that time, nobody really cared too much. They print anything.
Right.
I could have really went hard if I wanted to. Nobody gave a damn. It's all money.
Right.
So it's like, I need my $5. I don't care where it comes from. So I went, I'll ship it in a plain brown wrapper.
Exactly.
I'll tell my grandmother it was a medical set.
You got the cards for the articles on the back.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not nude pictures. They're all X-rays.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go ahead and I do it. And the printer said, I don't have the kind of paper that we can print the cards on. Oh, he says, I can't do a color set. Well, what do you have? I have this tan card stock called King James folding board. It's the kind of, you ever buy soap and it comes in a little paper box?
Oh yeah, like that kind of card stock that the soap's
Right,
in.
except that they couldn't print color on it. They could only do black and white. So I said, you can do one color. Can you do brown? And the guy said, yeah. And I said, is that, that's sepia tone, basically.
Right.
Well, I redesigned the whole set overnight. All the pictures came in a wanted poster frame.
That's
and
awesome.
It made it like they were little wanted posters with these. I mean, they were all beautiful, beautiful women on it. I mean, let's be realistic. It was a TNA atmosphere, TNA set,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything exceptional, but I carved out a niche. I put that set out saying, these are wanted posters. They all come from different companies. There's blah, blah, blah. Big star, Betty Page, this girl, television star here that was in a bikini, this girl here that was Playboy centerfold. And I put it out. It must have been a week. There was no internet at the time. It must have been a week, and it sold out.
Wow.
I was shocked because
that's amazing.
The paper was garbage. Okay. I mean, it was literally, it was 3-ply. That's the only way I could put it. It was garbage, but carved out a niche.
Yep.
And it worked. And that's, I try to tell people, you got to put that kind of heart, you got to put that kind of thing into your set or your book.
Yep.
A different size book, a different color book, a black and white book. That's fine. A different way to put cards out, different size cards, different manner of something. That's fine.
I tell people that all the time. You need to be steadfast with your goal, but flexible with your way to be there, because it's not always going to work out the way that you see it in your head initially. And you have to be like, no, okay, I was going to do it on this kind of paper. They don't have it. Right. So now I'm just going to pivot and then do it the way you did. And it sold out. That's amazing. Right.
Flexible is a good word. The only thing you have to be rigid on is your property.
Yes.
If somebody came to me and said, Love, Mac, and Trouble, we'd like to do a television show, I'd be like, oh, that's great. We want to make Trouble a dog. No. We want to make them girls. No. We want to change their colors. I would maybe consider that for Trouble. I wouldn't do that for Mac, because Mac is a tuxedo cat and it fits in perfectly.
Right.
Just like his properties, we want to make, Johnny Necro girl. We want to make the heart character a liver. Whatever.
Brett liver.
Yeah. whatever it is, you got to be rigid with your stuff.
Yep. And speaking of your stuff and his stuff, weren't you the first one to do a crossover with him?
I don't know if I was, because I have to say his pop culture references. That was such a cute cover.
Yep. It's book one, so that's you.
Yep. The pop culture references he's got. I don't know if he has done something with someone else, but I got to say, just looking at that page, just to give you an example, Mac is a tuxedo cat. He has the little black goatee. Trouble has the spiky little stripes. He's the right color. I did crossover with 2 other companies, or small press publishers years ago, and they got it wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's always, a variation in color, or we worked with an animator and the little goatee was missing. And
yeah, you have to know those details. The details are there for a reason, and you have to be true to the artist, not,
And that's another thing I get annoyed with, like today, like we were talking about off camera, continuity is important to me. Why does Aquaman actor not look like Aquaman comic character? A lot of the Marvel films take a lot of liberties. with costumes and with story and on and on and on. And I always say to myself, well, it's like a what if or an else world. This is an alternate reality, and
it's a different timeline. That's all.
Yeah, and it's okay. They want to introduce a new story. I get it. They don't want to put the same thing that you read on the film, because how exciting is that?
Right.
And whatever. The voices aren't enough. The pow, bam, whatever isn't enough. But when you bastardize something for the sake of creating something new, you're not being creative, you're being sloppy, you're being ineffectual. So that's, continuity is important. He has the pop culture references down pat.
Yes.
To me, it's like one long comic strip. Like when you go to the newspaper and you look at the news strips. It's like one long comic strip because of all of that. And he's a good guy. He doesn't take himself seriously, which would have killed it. Yep. He's not, to be a little bold, he's not a dick. Everybody acts like it these days. I entertain.
Yep.
That's it. And if you don't like, let's say, my brand of entertainment, there is probably 10 zillion other forms of entertainment. Rather than go after one person and argue and complain and whatever, just turn the channel.
Yep. There was
water up a duck's back. Just walk away. I did that this morning. Somebody was complaining about something. I'm like, well, I could spend a half hour reading about negative shit, or I could just
scroll.
Right. I turned it off, and I'm working on artwork, and it's fine. I can't get paid for that half hour. My blood pressure will either go up or down, or it'll put me to sleep.
Yep.
I could care less about this person's opinion. They could care less about my argument, and that's it. Again, if you have to force something, it's not authentic. It's not believable, and it's not going to be acceptable. And in the end, even if you converted somebody to your side, it's still not going to keep them there. Look at how many times Marvel has brought back Spider-Man over and over and over, changed the costume, changed the artist, the McFarlane era, the Ditko era, the John Byrne era, on and on and on. The video game, the Sony picture one. Which Spider-Man of the three do you like? Maguire, Garfield, whatever.
I liked when they were all in the one movie.
Right. I did too. But the thing is it's just not authentic. That's the thing. We put together authentic pieces. You're not going to be the only podcast someone listens to or watches.
Nope.
I'm not going to be the only voice someone will hear in a cartoon. He's not going to be the only book that they read.
Right.
You want it to be memorable. He's doing a lot of merchandising, so he's trying to spread the experience further than just the book.
Yes.
Which is great.
Which is smart. Yes.
Right. It could be a sticker on your fridge or a magnet on, your cabinet or whatever.
And horror adorables on his link tree.
And, that's the thing about comics today. Everything is forced.
Yep.
Pin-up covers, 100 covers, some die cuts, some scratch and snips, some glitter, whatever the hell, or having a cover artist that's not the artist of the book.
Right.
And it misleads people, having bland or, unprofessional writing on the inside. Do your best for an industry that doesn't need best. This industry floated on mediocre for years. If you could do something really good, you'll stand out no matter what.
I think I want to make a band called Floating on Mediocre. That's like a great band name. And speaking of artists, we got to wrap this up soon. We could talk all day, but we should probably wrap it up soon. But I'm going to be talking to Mark McKenna later today. And you know Mark as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love all of his work. Beautiful penciler.
Yeah.
Beautiful penciler. I would love to do work with him. He has been a good friend for a long time. we've done a lot of shows together. Yeah, great guy. Pencils are amazing. He has a new book. I won't mention it because I'll let him talk about it. But he has a new book that's fantastic, and we chatted a couple of times. I haven't done shows in a few years because of my health, and
Right.
so I'm kind of out of the public scene a little bit. But yeah, good friend and a great guy. He really is.
When you're feeling better, you have to come to the Great Media Comic Con because that's where I met Mark.
Oh,
Frank
where's
Percy. It's Media, Pennsylvania, so it's southeastern Pennsylvania. So that couple hours, but where you are, it's probably 3 hours, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, but I don't know if you know Frank Percy at all.
Who?
Frank Percy. He's another.
The name sounds very familiar.
Another artist.
Oh.
And he asked me if I could get everyone's attention because it was going to be Mark's birthday to like wish Mark a happy birthday. So I got up at the Comic-Con on a chair and I'm like, excuse me. And it just like, so that was my introduction to Mark, was having everybody wish him a happy birthday. But he's been very nice. Like I've chatted with him and he's a good people.
Yeah, he is. He's another one that has carved out a niche for his work. Having good credits behind you is great. It's an attention getter. They're billboards along the highway, but you still have to drive that highway. And yeah. he has great projects in the works right now.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm just so excited to see what everybody's got going on because it really, that's what makes life fun is, all of the colors and the stories and, whether it's music or it's comics, all of that art is what makes our lives fuller. So
right. Well, I'll tell you what, his book is out and it's great. It's a good the book that he has there. It's a good example of you've been doing it for a long time and you put out a big collection.
Yes.
And I think that's that's the market. A lot of people will disagree with me. I think single issues, or what they call, which I think is stupid, they call floppies now, but single issues are, I know it's a dumb industry term. Like
like floppy disk, like maybe you could only fit one copy on that back in that day.
Right, like independent. It's just a stupid term that I find embarrassing. But what's really popular now, giant sized issues, graphic novels, trade paperbacks. When I go into like a Books A Million or one of those bookstores,
like a Barnes and Noble,
right, I will see a graphic novel maybe from 10 years ago sitting on the shelf. I don't see floppies. I don't see single issues.
Okay.
Their newsstand edition single issues are not doing that great. Private sale, something over Kickstarter like Mark does, those are doing okay because of the people
behind it. Yeah.
You're buying Mark's book. You're not buying a book. And that's the most important thing. And I've gotten to that point too. People will buy Rusty's book. They won't buy a book.
Right.
Which is, again, right. It's just the way it is. The industry is like that. Where are you from? I'm from New York, but my favorite team is, blah, blah, blah. And my favorite player is on the Reds. Right. Or whatever, or my favorite basketball player, on another team from my state. It's just the way it goes. It's all favorites. Yep. It's like picking a horse in a horse race. Yep. But the collections and the graphic novels are what's selling. If you're going to pay $5 for a single comic issue, $5-6, but you're going to pay, let's say, $13 for a book that has the size of like 4 comics and it's special and it has a new cover and it's got, the whole story or the whole arc rather than waiting.
Right.
And obviously keeping schedules is very hard for a lot of small press publishers. They might not be able to keep up a monthly book.
That's true too, yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. I can't. I just can't. I have too much work. I'm working on 4 different card sets right now. I'm doing a voice for 2 cartoons and a horror movie. And I have a comic book cover to ink, and I have to have all that done by September.
Wow.
And
What are the cartoons?
one is called Wild Side Wrestling by a production company called Bombitos in the UK.
Okay.
And I play it's wrestling cartoon, but they're all animals. So
Oh,
like you might see, and they're anthropomorphic animals. So you might see like a bull go up against like a tiger.
okay.
So the ringside staff is supposed to be 2, a retired wrestler and a commentator. So
Right.
the commentator is a dog, and the ringside old pro, I guess you could call him, is Ringo the Flamingo, who talks with a cowboy accent. He's very gruff,
Oh,
and I've played him for a while now,
that's
and
awesome.
he makes fun of the dog and he makes fun of the wrestlers, and he's bold and brash.
Yep.
He's the epitome of a old pro, like old grizzled pro.
You say he's the Mickey. Yeah, I know that was boxing, but Mickey and Rocky, how he was like the gruff old man,
Right.
like
And he's like 5 minutes short, 5 minutes late and $5 short of everything that he does. He probably goes home and eats his TV dinner in front of the TV and watches old movies.
right.
And then the TV goes out 5 minutes before the ending, and he's like stomping. That's the kind of character he is. But I come out and we're doing it, and look at that guy in the ring, boy, he's really good. He could clip my lawn. Wow. And then the dog will say something. He's like, shut up, dog. That's really stupid. I can't believe you even said that. How embarrassing for you.
And this is in the UK. Like, I'm surprised.
They have some very unusual styles over there.
Gotcha.
And I find it hysterical because it's different. It's just different. The other character I play is there's a show out there called Mr. Carrot Man.
Okay.
Carrot Man is a superhero, and it's the whole world is vegetables and fruits.
So it's like Veggie Tales, but not Christian.
Right. And it's very funny. And I play a banana, which is really funny. His name is Crazy Banana.
I love it.
He the very first adventure of Carrot Man, he fights the banana. So the banana goes into a bank, and the lady's like, what's your name? And he says, Cray.
Sounds like a bad joke.
Right.
A banana goes into a bank.
He goes, what's your name, sir? Crazy Banana. Oh, okay, Mr. Crazy. No, I'm not crazy. And then they're like arguing. So he picks up the thing, the desk she's sitting in front of, and throws it through the window. And this woman, who's a pear, which I think is even funnier, she runs out screaming, ah! And Carrot Man flies in, and they start fighting like superhero, supervillain. He's like, I'm not crazy. Stop calling me crazy. I'm not crazy. And but that's even funnier because of the name, Crazy Banana.
That's awesome. Was he like, I got a split?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically that kind of humor.
I love it. That's my favorite.
It has a very Dragon Ball Z type feel to it.
Okay.
And they're working with an animator in the Philippines, an animation studio that's going to bring the series further along. It's the same studio that's doing the Mac in Trouble movie right now.
Okay.
We're working on a series that's made up of shorts.
Right.
It's not really half-hour episodes. It's more like, like 2-minute shorts.
Oh,
which is actually very popular. A lot of people don't know this, but back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, television and everything was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
The average attention span of a television watcher was about 28 minutes, which is how television got its 30-minute, it's basically
Like
shows.
the sitcoms and everything were 30
Right,
minutes. Yeah.
right, and the news and things like that. And they would put in commercials and breaks and whatever. Hour-long shows, they just duplicated, the formula. Today, the average attention span is 8 seconds.
Wow.
So when somebody goes online, they're like, can't get stimulated, boom. They go on now YouTube and a couple of others, Rumble and on and on and on, have shorts. You can go to TikTok. I hate TikTok. You can go to TikTok and they have like little shorts and things like that. And, there's a lot of, other that you don't hear from very much. Vimeo is one. They have, full movies, which is great, but then they have shorts. And I love Rumble. Rumble is a great platform, and they have, great stuff too. And it's gotten to the point now where even the news, I've actually seen there's 2 or 3 news shows that are under like 3 minutes.
Yes.
And they come, I think it's good. We get our news lately from reading memes, listening to, the occasional loudmouth, Howard Stern, Joe Rogan, whatever. We read a headline and we assume we know the whole article. Somebody comes up with something that's BS and we believe it. But if they can go past the 8 seconds and be entertaining and still get across their message, it's authentic, it's organic, it makes sense. But we went from 28 minutes to 8 seconds. It doesn't say a lot about us as an audience.
No, because it's so much stimulation. I think that part of it's FOMO, because there's like so much to look at and you don't want to miss something. So if this isn't exactly what I want, then I want to get to the thing I want to,
And let's bring it home to books like his. You look at one panel, it's got a joke. You read the next panel, I don't want to say captivated because it sounds so romantic and so flighty, but you are in earnest. You're trying to pick up the next thing. All of a sudden, there's a pop culture reference, and it
keeps your attention.
Right. It's expanding on it. It's growing seeds.
Yes.
Then the next book comes out and you're like, well, the last joke was funny. You have to be a comedian with these books, or you have to tell a story. Storytelling is a very commanding presence in comics that a lot of people either don't know about or have lost. I see a lot of younger creators or a lot of small press publishers, single press, single book that come out and they read Avengers in the 1970s, some of the finest books ever published, Captain America. They read arcs of the Flash in the 90s, great books, Golden Age comics, on and on and on. And they'll be like, I want to mimic that. I want to do that. So then they put out an X-Men type book. Everybody's in a different costume. Everybody has an original name. They all have typical powers, and they fight the government. They're spies. They're, on secret missions. They're out to assassinate somebody. They're whatever. Totally lost it. It's literally making muffins with no sugar. I mean,
that's a great analogy. I like that.
It's nothing. And it's dribble. It might look good. Big, buxom girl, tiny costume, totally sexy, handsome guy, spit curl. He looks great, blah, blah, blah. He's picking up a Jeep and ripping it in half over his head, on and on and on. And that's it.
Right.
I mean,
there's no content. It's just
no. You eat the candy. You eat the candy bar, and you stare at the wrapper, and you say, "I don't want to buy another candy bar. I wonder if the wrapper is any good to eat."
And to that, it would almost make more sense to be like make posters or like something that you're not committing a storyline to, but it's you can still appreciate the art, but you're not like ruining it with not having content to back it up.
You can entertain people in a number of ways. I had for Mac and Trouble, my wife worked on Mac masks. We had that look like cats. We had painted figures. We had stickers. Trading Mac and Trouble have had 3 trading card sets, numerous prints. He's done the same with his book. Mark has done the same with his books. You have to, because you go to a show, some guy is wearing a X-Men T-shirt, and he's carrying around like 5 Batman issues that he needs for his collection, and you feel like you lost the battle.
Yeah,
and you have to again carve out your own niche and put yourself out there. There have been times when I've gone to conventions and people have walked up and they said, "I bought this from you like 10 years ago, blah, 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 this book or this sticker, or I still have your patch on my jeans, or blah, blah, blah." And it makes you feel good because you accomplished something.
And the thing with that is if somebody, like I have my water and I have my energy drink right here, but I put stickers on them, and then like I have the stickers I have on the back of my truck. I have a QR code sticker that says "Scan me," and that way, if people get nosy in the parking lot, they go right to my book. Or like if I had a Mac and Trouble sticker, I know somebody would be like, "Who are they?" And then word of mouth, you get even because there's so much of that now.
Well, I tell what happened was, I'll give a plug to myself, which I never do.
Do it.
Like I said, no ego. I just don't like. I'm not a plugger, self plugger at least anyway. But the thing is that during COVID, when it came up, a lot of people couldn't get out, so I took literally my entire library of books. There's Mac and Trouble, and then I also have The Symbol, which is a red, white, and blue superhero.
Okay.
From the Golden Age, and it's more of a sci-fi book than a superhero book. And I had a magazine called Recollection, which was about Golden Age artists and writers. It reprinted some things, on and on and on. And I had a Christmas book. I took all of it and made it free. That's so that awesome. When people couldn't afford anything, they couldn't get out, they could go and download it, and it was free. So I never took it off. I left it as free. So people can go to, it's drivethroughcomics.com. It's drive, and then through is THRU.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to clarify how to spell that. Okay.
So drivethroughcomics.com, and then my company or my studio is basically my name. It's Rusty Inc. Okay. And you can download, there's like 10 different books there.
Nice.
We're putting out 2 new books this year and 2 new card sets this year. And that'll start off the chain all over again. I've been working really hard for other companies. I do a lot of work in trading cards and comics. So I worked on Star Wars trading cards, Star Trek, Doctor Who. Right now I'm doing cards for that television show, What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
I do too. I think it's too bad the last season is coming up too. I'm Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes.
I'm doing Alice in Wonderland for one company and horror trading cards for another. It's a never-ending.
You don't rest. You are not gathering any moss at all.
I have to though, because I'm so terribly burned out. I have to. I have July. I'm waiting for, because July is going to be my, I can rest for a week. I can do nothing.
And do that, like completely unplug and be like, don't talk to your wife and nobody else. Just be like, nope, it's me. cuddle the kitty cats and just relax.
Don't do me to that. What the hell? All month of June I'm solid.
Yeah.
And then when July comes, I have 2 weeks, basically, week and a half, and then I'm okay. And then I have 2 card sets and 1 comic book that have to be done by September. So
just make sure you cross it off when you send it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rusty told me before we started recording that he did a project twice because he forgot to cross it off his calendar.
Yes. I forgot. I drew a picture, and the funny thing was, it wasn't the same picture. Like, you would think, like, oh, you drew a picture of some guy running,
right?
And then, the next time, you drew another one, but no, 2 different poses, same character. I turned the first one into the publisher, and this is really nice. I'm going to have the colorist work on it, and the colorist was a great artist. One of my good friends, Jay Moores.
Okay.
He's a fantasy artist, and he does a game called Fae, and he's extraordinary. Another one that carved out his own niche and learned how to use it wisely. He's very intelligent, and I didn't cross it off on my calendar. So I'm working on something. I'm doing cards and all BS, all my nutsy stuff, and then all of a sudden, I look at the calendar. Oh my God, I have a week to go. I got to do this piece. Now remember, I already did it. So I'm drawing it, another pose, send it to the guy. And I'm like, oh, damn, this is great. Cross it up on the calendar, move on. A couple of days later, I got your picture. I said, oh, good. I hope you liked it. He said, yeah, it was really good. It was as good as the first one. And I'm like, first one? And he said, yeah, you already sent in the work. Well, I don't know what you're doing. And I said, oh, my God, I thought I didn't do it, and I guess I sent it in again because, scatterbrained is a lofty term for me.
Yeah.
I wish I was scatterbrained. And he goes, yeah, you already did it. I guess I'll use it in something else. Oh, that was nice. Yeah, okay, thanks, bye. Hang up the phone. Son of a bitch! I could have been doing something else.
Yep.
Damn it! And then I'm like, all right, fine. Whatever.
And that's why I told you when you scheduled this, I'm like, okay, it is in my phone, it's on my paper calendar, it's on my email, so I should remember because I'm such a busy brain, things fall out.
Now I have the red pen clipped to the calendar page.
There you go.
I don't have to go, reaching just 1 foot over for the red pen is such a chore. Sometimes that stuff like that happens, but that's the first time that would ever happen to me. But
right.
And the publisher used the second one and didn't pay me for it, so I learned my lesson twice there.
I was gonna say, well, did you get double the money for that? But
yeah, I should have.
Yeah.
Only my bill collectors will mourn me. That's just like in Aladdin. Only your fleas will mourn you. Only my bill collectors will mourn me. They'll be the only ones to send flowers COD to my funeral.
COD. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for taking this time. Like, I've had a blast, and it's been great getting to learn about you and your projects and how you and Johnny know each other. And I appreciate you hopping on here with me.
I really appreciate it too. He's a great guy. His wife is great. His book is great. He's got a good property, and I hope that in the future we see more of these books.
Yes.
I'd like to see a whole rack of these books in the future, and I know that he's got heart enough to keep going.
Yes.
That's the thing. Most people have rejection and they hit the wall with it. You just have to hit the wall strong enough to where there's a hole so you can walk through it and keep going.
Absolutely.
Rejection is not a negative. It's actually a positive. Somebody doesn't want your stuff. That just means you focus on someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I always say, there's no failure. You either succeed or you learn for the next time. So
the only failure is not trying. What's that old sniper saying? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Well, thank you so much, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.